All right, let's dive in with the two-time Super Bowl champ, our guy Bryant McFadden. B-Mac, you had no problem laying the 10 before this game, and you sweat at no point, maybe early minutes, but this offense by the 49ers seemed to be clicking on all cylinders. The defense was extremely strong as well. Really a comprehensive effort here on a road game, and not a natural one as they do go out of the country to go get this win. You take a look at this performance by the Niners, and you stack it on top of 2 wins the last 2 weeks. You're feeling what about this franchise right now?
This team is starting to really come together. Remember, they were dealing with a lot of injuries on both sides of the football. Then, of course, they make the big-time trade to bring in CMC, Christian McCaffrey. And, of course, he's trying to get acclimated to what they do offensively. You get Elijah Mitchell back. You get Trent Williams back on the offensive line. So now we're starting to see this team come together when you talk about having all their players on deck. And when you look at the efficiency that we saw from their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, well, yes, we can talk about the 4 passing touchdowns. Oh, by the way, he easily surpassed that 1 in the hook prop that he had in the beginning of the ball game. But just talk about the efficiency that he was able to display. 20 of 29. I mean, big time throws on third down, being able to make things happen, extend plays in the pockets, went through his progressions, was never rattled at all, and just hit the open pass catcher, play in and play out, and put up outstanding numbers. If Jimmy Garoppolo can play with this level of confidence each game, we know this offense can do this consistently. That has been the concern in regards to their consistent stride. Is all about Jimmy Garoppolo. Which Jimmy Garoppolo will you get? And then when you transition to the defense, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do, playing against a team that had their backup quarterback in the lineup. You know, you had some questionable guys offensively for the Cardinals as well. They had no shot. And that is a bright spot for San Francisco because, you know, if you go back and look at their ball game, last week against the Chargers, Justin Herbert with a short-handed cast of wide receivers had some success against the 49ers. So being able to be battle-tested and fight back on a national stage and just dominate the team you're supposed to dominate against is huge.
Now, I do want to talk about the defensive side of the ball here in just a moment, but let's stay on the offensive side here because when you look at the box score, 6 different players caught passes, 7 different players had a rush in this game. Kyle Shanahan's like a mother of quintuplets right now who's keeping everybody fed and happy, and I don't know how he's doing it because that adage of there's only one ball doesn't seem to be a problem. B-Mac, when you take a look at the way that Kyle Shanahan's dialing it up with all these weapons at his disposal, how is he continuing to keep everybody fed? You know, we saw Debo have just 2 touches a week ago. He's very featured here, but it doesn't get lopsided. Everybody eats right now in San Francisco.
Just the creativity in his play calling and in his play designs. We didn't see a lot in regards to running the football with Christian McCaffrey, where he had 7 carries, but we saw him much involved in the passing game with 7 catches, so a total of 14 touches. Double-digit touches has to be the mark for Christian McCaffrey. And then if you look at Elijah Mitchell, he actually led the team in rushing. He had rushing attempts. He had 9. So the unique style that Kyle Shanahan was able to display in his play calling made sure that he fed everyone at the table. Thanksgiving came early for the San Francisco 49ers offensive stars because everyone had an opportunity to eat, and they ate till they got full. And they were content in what they had on their plate. So that is a bright sign. And one thing I like about this team, Joe, if you think about right now, we're in November football, soon we'll be in December football. The way he's utilizing all his pass catchers, all his offensive stars, to say the least, everyone will be fresh come playoff time if they're able to get into the tournament. And that could be something most defenses wouldn't want to see. If you got a fresh Christian McCaffrey, a fresh George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Ayuk is showing up big time in the red zone as well for them. That's great for their development. So the way he was able to disperse the football equally, to say the least, was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, it seems like they have multiple top 10 position player types at all of those different positions. He's keeping everybody involved, keeping everybody happy, and it's got to be a nightmare to game plan against for these defensive coordinators. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball here for the 49ers because for the 3rd consecutive week, they shut out their opponents in the second half. It's all about in-game adjustments when we're talking about NFL football and the difference between wins and losses. The way they're adjusting in-game right now tells you what about this team and the way they're being coached and receiving that coaching.
I mean, when you look at their rankings in regards to defensive statistics, you shouldn't be surprised. When this team is dialed in, they're one of the best defenses in the National Football League. And they're still missing some key contributors too as well. Don't forget that. So eventually one would think they will fully be healthy, and then we probably will see them at their best. But just let's start at the front. The way they swarmed the football, collapsed the pocket, made life miserable for Colt McCoy, how they pressured him and with exotic different looks. And then you look at the guys in the second level with Fred Warner and crew. These guys are dialed in. They're dialed in. They're one of the best defenses in the National Football League, and they're still not fully healthy. If they continue to play this way, in which I do believe they have the talent to do so, this team can make things extremely interesting when it comes to January football.
Second 30 is winning time, and that's exactly where this team has thrived thus far. We do have to talk about the playoff picture coming out of this one because there is some movement now. 6-4, equal record to the Seahawks, but they do own that head-to-head as the Niners are undefeated against the division this year, B-Mac. When you take a look at this, the Niners, they make that jump above the line that you want to be on as a divisional leader and not a wild card team. As you project them forward and sort of the way they've crescendoed to this moment, do you think they keep that spot there as the eventual division winner?
You know what? I think they have a legit chance to keep that spot. If you look at the next four ball games for the Niners, they get New Orleans at home, they get Miami at home, they get Tampa at home. The next 3 ball games are all at home at the crib, and 2 teams have playoff aspirations in the Miami Dolphins and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they travel out to Seattle. I think this 3-game stretch, Joe, can really tell the tale of the story in regards to the seeding for the San Francisco 49ers. One would think, granted, there's no guaranteed victories in the National Football League. We know how that goes. But that's a winnable ball game against the New Orleans Saints. Let's keep it real.
There is
right?
no doubt about that. Yep.
Yeah, that's a winnable ball game. So, right, if you're able to take care of your business against the Saints, you're 7-4. Then you get Miami and Tampa at home. If they can find a way to sweep those 2 games, or at least worst case scenario, split it, you got to like their chances because, of course, that Seattle ball game in Seattle could be the final say-all for who wins the NFC West.
And that Miami matchup will be the long-anticipated return to Santa Clara for one Mike McDaniel, and what he's doing with the Dolphins right now is admirable as well. Be interesting to see how those 2 former colleagues, now contemporaries, really dial it up against one another. Before we go here, a thought on Arizona, because the fallacy of standing still is the NFL. You're either getting better or you're getting worse, and this is a franchise that's clearly getting worse right now. Obviously, for the second straight week, they did not have their very multiple starting quarterback. But when you take a look at what's in front of them and the job that Cliff Kingsbury has to do here down the stretch, how do they salvage something positive? This is not likely a playoff team, but how do you move into next year feeling like maybe we have the foundation of something successful?
Well, you got to get healthy. You got to get Kyler Murray back in the lineup somehow, some way. If you have him in the lineup, eventually getting Hollywood Brown in the lineup as well, we can really get a good glimpse on what this offense can look like when they're fully healthy, right down the stretch of the season. So Hollywood Brown was doing some real good things. Remember, before that injury, he never got an opportunity to really play with DeAndre Hopkins. Now, granted, you won't have Zach Ertz, but just adding a guy like Hollywood Brown and Kyler Murray to this offense will definitely make things more competitive from their side of things. And, of course, that could help the morale of the defense as well. And maybe you can find a way to play spoiler, to say the least, because I agree with you. Playoff hopes, down the drain like some bad soda. They don't have a shot. But maybe you can kind of disrupt some things based on some of the teams you have on your schedule. But you only can do that with a healthy offense, and it starts with your quarterback.
And I think flat would be the perfect way to describe the approach here on Monday night out of the Arizona Cardinals. In the end, it is a 38-10 winner for the 49ers, who are now in first place in that division. B-Mac, thank you.
Yes, sir.
When we say it, we mean it. And now you look at it. You watch, you wager, you win. At the end of our show, right before kick, each and every week we make our all-on-the-line picks. Everybody won. I mean, just look at it. Take it in. Winner, 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 winner. Kittle, got it. Niners laying the 10. Who laid the 10? B-Mac laid the 10. Wasn't scared, and he was right. Emery, McCaffrey over his total yardage. He was a feature in this game. Kittle anytime. Kittle over receiving yards. Kittle over longest reception. Come on now. You want to win? You win with us. And while everybody was successful on Monday night, our North Star, the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, was the real star because he gave out a winning parlay as well. The Niners laying the 10, the over. Jimmy G for 2. We went for 4. McCaffrey over his receptions, hit it right out of the break. Kittle over receiving yards. That is a 11-1 winner, courtesy of the Wizard of Odds.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.